Imagine there were 75% fewer dogs or cats in Central Europe than there were 30 years ago. Households would be much sadder, duller, and more monotonous, right? This very thing actually happened to insects, recent studies have shown. Can you still remember what your windshield looked like after a long overland drive some years ago? Dead insects everywhere. But have you recently had to clean your windshield from insects? Probably not, right? How come? Something must have happened. Are you as concerned about the insects as you would have been in the case of cats or dogs? You should be, because insects play an incredibly important role in the various ecosystems of our planet, being essential to the environment and us as human beings. In this video, we will show you why and what we can do to change it.
So what has been found? Let's start by looking at the insect decline in Germany. Scientists there conducted a long research to measure the amount of flying insects over time. Starting in 1989, they installed traps in protected areas and weighted the caught insects by their biomass. This is the total weight of all insects caught in a specific year. 27 years later, in 2016, the insect biomass declined with 80%. That's 4 out of every 5 insects gone. And remember, this data exclusively stems from protected areas. The disturbing thing is, scientists aren't even sure why this is happening on such a massive scale. They only know that it's happening. Possible causes they mention are habitat loss, pesticides, a changing climate, or a combination of these factors. Insect decline in Germany's protected areas? How can this be an issue worth talking about globally, I hear you say? Well, it's the first time scientists studied a long-term development in such a volatile group of animals as flying insects. The study shows enough evidence of how serious the problem of insect decline is and highlights the need for further examination in other regions with different climates, insect species, and population density.
Insects have been living on this earth for 400 million years and are some of the most successful species on this planet. For all those years, they've performed many ecosystem services and provide a huge natural capital value. Natural capital describes the structures and conditions that allow all forms of life, including us, to flourish on Earth. Part of this are services that species perform to allow ecosystems to survive and thrive, known as ecosystem services. Many plants, animals, and ecosystems rely on the existence of insects. First, without them to feed on, a huge number of birds, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals simply wouldn't exist. So even if you don't care about insects, you probably care about other species that depend on them. Second, 4 in 5 wild plant species, including many fruits and vegetables that we love, depend on insects to pollinate them. A 2009 study estimated the economic value of worldwide pollination at 153 billion euros. Fewer insects means less apples, strawberries, melons, tomatoes, and much more. And who would want to live without them? The third important service is pest control. Sure, some pests are insects, but the number of these pest insects is usually kept in check by other insects. A recent study estimated the economic value of this service to be an additional $4.5 billion. And fourth, insects deliver important services in the decomposition of dead organisms and excrements. Think of flies or dung beetles, who return that matter back into food cycles as nutrients for other organisms. In addition to that, insects are an integral element of biological diversity. The variety of species, their internal genetic differences, the areas they live in, and how nutrients, water, and energy circulate through nature. Biodiversity allows resilience and adaptation to changing conditions, and thus ensures the survival of life on Earth. The number of insect species can only be estimated, but they have been regarded as the largest and most diverse animal group since the beginning of research on species. Recent studies suggest there could be more than 7 million different species. Insects are also a great indicator for biodiversity, due to the huge number of other species that feed on them.
So, now that we know all this, what can you do to help out insects? The good news is, there are loads of things that we can all do to make sure that insects have a future. First, you can buy organic food. Organic farms don't use any pesticides, which we know can harm non-target organisms, including many species of insect. This can seriously damage food chains for humans and for other species. So, the next time you're in the supermarket, why not buy organic? Secondly, if you've got a garden, why not make it insect friendly? Something as simple as planting native plant species or leaving sticks, leaves and rocks in an area of your garden makes sure that there's habitat for insects. Finally, another easy thing that we can all do is to raise awareness of the importance of insects and the need for action on biodiversity decline. Spread the word. Why not write an email to your local politician and show them that you care about healthy ecosystems? Asking your friends, family, or colleagues to do the same is a great way to make your voice even louder. So, next time you see an insect, maybe you'll appreciate it a little bit more than you did before. Insects are an integral, yet nearly invisible part of our everyday lives. Let's make sure we protect them.